Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, and this is 45 ways to buy property. Now this is a series of short workshops that I've been conducting over the last few weeks to help you move forward in your property journey, just to give you a few ideas of maybe the things that you haven't yet considered, and maybe try some new things or even go back and try some old things as well. So today's about direct to vendor landlord letters. You may have heard of them, and you may have heard that actually don't work because everyone's doing them, or it's a really old technique that doesn't work at all anymore. Now, why is everyone doing direct to vendor landlord letters? Ask yourself that question. Because they work. Now, it's one of the oldest tried and tested tools in an investor's toolkit, and it's probably one of the most effective. Now, I do speak from experience. Now, we've built up the majority of our portfolio by having direct to vendor landlord letters, and we've got probably 400 students in any one time on our online programs, and they all get amazing results if they are tenacious. Now, you can't just literally write a letter and send it to a landlord and expect to get a deal. There's a lot more involved than that. So the first thing that you need to do is, once you've chosen your investing area, you'll need to obtain the licensed landlord list for HMOs. Now this is for HMOs. So you need to obtain the HMO landlord list for the area that you want to market to. Now that in itself could cause a problem, because very often some councils are very protective over the landlord list and they're not always forthcoming in giving it to you. So that's the first obstacle. Now, we do teach our mentees how to get hold of that list using the legislation, and it's actually a list that should be provided to the public at request at any reasonable time. So it is a public register. Now, when you get hold of that list, you need to guard it like the Holy Grail, because once you've got it, and if you're good at your marketing campaigns, then that list can have the potential to make you a lot of money over the years through going direct to the vendor. So you know now why we go direct to vendor, because we've spoken about this quite a lot over the previous workshops. Going direct to vendor means that we can understand their reason why, and we can understand what pain points that they've got at the moment, so we can try and work something out to help them overcome those pain points and get a win-win. So direct to vendor letters will work for rent to rents, they'll work for lease purchase options, and they'll work for purchases. And it's an amazing way of having a very targeted approach. So think of it like having a shotgun and shooting into the air just with a hope that you're going to hit something. And the chances of that, it's going to be quite slim, although it depends on where you are. But with direct to vendor letters, you've actually got, a rifle, and you've got one bullet in, and you've got a laser sight, and you're targeting something and you're shooting. So you've got much more of a chance of success. And that's why we do direct to vendor campaigns. Now, the people that talk about this say it doesn't work, and if anybody sends one to me, I'm going to chuck it in the bin. Well, those are the people that are never going to be our target market anyway. And if we send 100 direct to vendor letters out and we only get one person that calls back with a deal, that's all we need. We only need that one deal, maybe in 6 months, maybe even longer, depending on what your strategy is. But like anything we do in marketing, it's about building up a relationship with our prospective customer and making sure that you're tenacious and you don't give up, because it takes time. Now, there was a saying, we used to use it many years ago, and we used to say that it takes 7 touches to a sale. Do you remember that? Don't touch anybody, but you're not allowed to touch anybody, okay? 7 touches to a sale. Now, apparently, now people have got a little bit more fussy, and it's taking on average 10 touches to a sale. So when I say touch, I mean marketing points, touch points. So that could be, if you look at, if you've ever bought a car or something expensive, the chances are you've researched that items more than 7 to 10 times, either online, on the internet, on YouTube, on Facebook. You may have seen it in an advert in a magazine. You've probably gone to the shop or the car sales room and you've looked at it. You may have taken it out for a test drive, then you've come back, then you've phoned them. So very often you would have already gone through these touch points yourself without even noticing it. So what we are doing here with direct to vendor letters is the same thing. So when you do your first campaign, don't expect to be inundated with deals. When you do your second campaign, the same. What you're doing is building up that remote relationship. So there's a few things you need to be very aware of before you go into direct to vendor campaigns, and we've got to make sure that you're GDPR compliant, and you've got to make sure that you give your vendors that you're writing to the option to opt out of any future communication. So you'll need to know which gateway that your business comes under when it comes to direct marketing. So if you go on to the government website, so ICO, Information Commissioner's Office, and have a look at the GDPR element and see where you believe your business sits when it comes to direct marketing. Now only you can do that. I can't do that for you because we're all different and our businesses all operate very differently. Now, provided you've found a gateway that you believe your company sits under, then we can start to think about starting our very first set of marketing letters. So with a marketing letter, the idea is to send it to a customer and for them to want to be able to take our services to help them. Now that could be with rent-to-rent or lease options or a purchase, but the whole idea is to offer our services. Now, the way we do this is quite different. So you've got to make sure that you design a letter that's true to your brand, true to your values, and something that's attractive enough for the other person that's reading it to want to read all of it and get to the bottom, and then potentially give you a call and have a chat to see how you can help them move forwards. So once you've got your list, then you design your letter. So where are people going to call? So they get your letter and they think that's great and they want to call you. What number are you going to put on your letter? If it's your own mobile phone number, be very aware that you need to be in the room when you need to take the call. Now, if you're out with your family or if maybe you're in a supermarket, it's noisy and the phone rings, you don't recognize the number, so it's likely to be a lead. And you pick it up and you're like, I haven't got a pen. Oh, hang on. Can I call you back? It's not going to be that professional. And because of that, you may lose that lead. So one of my recommendations is before you send your letters out is to get a call handling service on board. We use a company called All Day PA. And I don't get any commission from All Day PA. What they do is they give you a discount if you mention my name. Now it's only a small discount, but if you're watching my YouTube video and you mention my name, they'll give you a very small discount. And they will give you, or they will offer to you, a local telephone number as part of your package. And that can then sit on your letters, and that's the number that your potential customers will call when they want to discuss your services. So what that will happen is that number will be answered by a real person 24 hours a day, and they will have a script that you can give them, whatever you want to do. So, what's your name, Mr. or Mrs.? What's your telephone number to confirm? Where's the property? What's the postcode of the property? What are you looking to do with the property? And all of that information will be collated by the call handler, and then they will send you a text message and they will send you an email with that information on. Now this is priceless because then at a time that suits you, don't leave it too long, but I would say, within the same day, you can go and sit in front of your computer. You can do a little bit of research on Google Street View or Google Maps, and you can find out where the property is. You can even bring it up on Google Street View. You can look at it, so you've got more knowledge about the area. You can look up the area, and then you can call them back. And you're in the right room, you're in the right frame of mind, you've got peace and quiet around you, rather than sorry, could I call you back, scenario that I mentioned earlier. So we use All Day PA. There are others as well. There are loads of others, but it's just the company that we've always used ourselves before. So once you've got your number, you've written your letter, and you need to put on the bottom of your letter, if you no longer wish to receive communication, please call the number and I will remove you from the list. So that's all good. Now you should also have a privacy policy. And a privacy policy is designed usually for websites that tells the customer what you're doing with their information. Now, you might not need this, but we always say as well at the bottom of the letter, to receive a copy of our privacy policy, please email, and we will email one back on return. And you can get a privacy policy pretty much online now. You can download a privacy policy and just adjust the text to make it your own. So we've got the letter ready. You've got a call handling service. You've got your privacy policy. You've got your opt-out. Now, how do we put the list together with the letters? How do we mail merge it? So there is a company that we use called Stamp, S-T-A-N-N-P, Stamp. And again, we don't get any affiliate commission at all. We just like to recommend these companies just to help our community, so you don't have to service them yourselves. And what they will do, if you send the list and your letter, they will mail merge it and they will send your campaigns on your behalf on the date that you want to send them. And it's done for you. Now, it's a really reasonable cost, but obviously depends on the size of campaign will differentiate the cost element involved. So then what you need to do is just sit back and wait, right? Well, it's always a good idea to have some kind of CRM or customer relationship management software in the background so you can collate your leads when they come in. Because believe me, you'll forget. And if you're working on 7, 8, 9, 10 leads at a time, you're going to forget what you've said and you're going to forget when you're supposed to call somebody back. So there are loads of CRMs out there. And I'll put a link to all of these in the description. But we use a CRM called Pipe Drive. There's also one called Less Annoying CRM. Now they start with a free option, and I think Less Annoying CRM, actually, I think £10 will get you all of the functions. And what that will do is it will allow you to put the conversation you've had with the vendor and any updates and any actions, and it will send you a reminder via email if you've got any actions coming up. And then what will happen is to sit back, wait, let the leads come in, and then start discussing the leads as your phone starts ringing, and hopefully they will turn into some deals for you. So that's my experience of direct to vendor landlord letters. Comment below if you need any more information. Let me know your thoughts. I think it's still a very valid campaign and we are still getting some really good results from just using that. So I hope this workshop was useful for you. If it was, please give me a thumbs up. Please do make sure you click on that subscribe button, and I'll see you back here ready for the next one.